It has been 150 episodes, 1172 days since we first introduced New Game Plus. Ah, those were the days.
And Draw Something continues to be the most popular game on mobile, and that is everything that's happened in the world, ever.
Wow, TV production does take its toll. But what was news like back then? Well, we were lamenting the broken state of Diablo 3's online service, questioning the DLC intentions of Mass Effect 3, and eagerly anticipating the release of Half-Life 3. So, what's changed? Well, we're currently regretting this state of Batman Arkham Knight's broken offline functionality, questioning the exclusively energized state of Destiny's DLC, and we're 1172 days closer to Half-Life 3. So yeah, progress! But we've actually had a couple of major news stories in these past 3 or 4 years which have actually changed the gaming landscape, like an excavator digging through a landfill to try and find abandoned Atari copies of ET. Hey, that's a news story right there! But clearly, the biggest story that has impacted both you and me is the release of the PlayStation 4, Wii U, and Xbox One. Now, the PlayStation 4 has given Sony back the lead in the console race, and with the Wii U, Nintendo has been forced to rediscover its sense of adventure. Because, let's face it, we all much prefer the Nintendo of 2015 to the Nintendo of 2008. And then there's the Xbox One. When it was about to launch, it required the Kinect and a perpetual online internet connection, but these were dropped beforehand. And soon the Xbox One will be able to play Xbox 360 games, which is possibly the furthest it could go from the original intentions of barring used games altogether. You know, one might call this series of 180s an Xbox 360, except we've seen that joke done too many times. Speaking of the opposite of dumb, we've had the R18 rating for video games finally introduced in Australia. It was a personally proud moment to walk into a store and see games like Grand Theft Auto 5 emblazoned with a black label, as if saying that yes, video games are equal to TV, to movies, which they really are. It was less pleasing though to see this copy of Grand Theft Auto 5 clearly being purchased for some 8-year-old kid.
Winning the International would obviously mean a lot to me, mostly Blue.
We've also seen esports become a very major force in gaming. From Dota to Hearthstone to Street Fighter, professional gamers are attracting as big a fan base as the more conventional athletes.
Woo, Dandy!
Yeah, they are. However, the scene has also attracted the less desirable elements of sports.
Woo.
Yeah, including reports of doping and actual cases of match fixing. Though on a less depressing note, we've also seen a situation where a world champion Pokemon player was stripped of his title after being caught flinging poop in a hotel hallway. So yes, it's the sort of thing you'd almost expect to hear from a rugby player or a footy player like every 3 months. Speaking of kicking segues, we've also seen the rise of Kickstarter and crowdfunding gaming. Now, as recently as 5 years ago, if you wanted to make a game, you'd either have to go through a publisher or dive so deep into your own pockets, you'd pretty much literally become the 2-minute noodles you'd be forced to subsist on. But today, crowdfunding and even early access programs have become a viable source for indie developers to attract early funding, or even for veteran developers to revisit their classic projects. This all undoubtedly kicked off with the success of the Double Fine Adventure Kickstarter. That raised $3.3 million during its run. Compare and contrast to Shenmue 3, which raised that much in as little as 3 days. Now, all of these wildly successful Kickstarter campaigns have appealed to our nostalgia, and they've allowed these previously dormant genres to thrive. Having said that though, it hasn't quite worked for every game. Just look at the failed Kickstarter campaigns for the FMV horror game Night Trap, or the horrific 1994 platformer Boogerman. That's right, Boogerman. Because to get nostalgic over Boogerman is like going to the finest wine bar in town, going to the waiter and asking them for a fine glass from the spit bucket, please. But enough about looking in the past, let's look to the future. What's going to happen in the next 1172 episodes? Well, who knows? Change is inevitable for sure, but it is also agonizingly slow. But you don't go to television for those sorts of predictions, so just screw it. Let's just go jetpacks and hoverboards, because it is always jetpacks and hoverboards. And you know what? Given the state of change, we may even see jetpacks and hoverboards in the next 5 years. And that is everything that's happened in the world, ever.